Welcome to Oxford News This Week. On this edition of Oxford News This Week, local mother running for office, behind the lens, a hug well deserved. And in our last story, one family's journey documented. That and more on this special edition of Oxford News This Week. Welcome back to Oxford News This Week. In a sad story, a 17-year-old Metamora girl was killed on Thursday afternoon in a single vehicle crash on Metamora Road near Stock Road in Metamora Township. Initial investigation shows the teen was traveling northbound on Metamora Road in the 2014 Chrysler 200 at a high rate of speed when the vehicle ran off the roadway, left and struck a large tree. The teen, the lone occupant of the vehicle, had to be extricated by the Metamora Township Fire Department using the jaws of life. She was then pronounced dead at the scene. The crash was reported roughly at 3:30 p.m. Speed appears to be the contributing factor on that fatal crash. Anyone with information regarding this incident, you can call the Metamora Township Police Department at 810-678-3657 or the Lapeer County Central Dispatch, their number 810-667-0292. Third Democrat, she announced her candidacy to seek and oppose John James of the Congress in the 24th. On the 24th, she says the shooting inspired her to run for office. We're talking about Emily Bush, a mother of an Oxford High School student who is focusing on gun safety. And we'll try to get a chance to knock, again, John James from the 10th District, Congressional District seat. Emily Bush, who is 50 years old, of Rochester, is the third Democrat to announce her candidacy and try to advance to the general election to oppose James, who began serving his first term in January. In November 2024, Bush said she has lived in the Oakland County for 2 decades. She has worked in medical and dental sales for the nearly 30 years. She has a bachelor's degree in biology from Indiana University, a master's degree from Michigan State University. Bush's husband is also a retired firefighter and Marine. Oxford Township was pleased and honored to have one of the 2 representatives in the fabulous Township Parade of Flags ceremony held on 2023, the Michigan Townships Association MTA Educational Conference and Expo. This year, the conference was at Grand Traverse Resort and Spa. Supervisor Jack Curtis led the parade, proudly carrying the MTA flag. Trustee Catherine Colvin carried Oxford Township's flag for the 2nd year in a row. Both officials did an exemplary job. They represented Oxford Township with dignity and class. Rod Charles also in attendance at the MTA. At the April meeting of the Oxford Township Board of Trustees, hundreds of residents showed up at the Lakeville Church in Oxford to voice their opinions on the possibility of utilizing one company to provide waste disposal services to the Charter Township of Oxford. At the beginning of the special public hearing, Oxford Township Supervisor Jack Curtis read a statement to the residents regarding an impropriety that occurred when going out for waste disposal bids and how the board was actually going to respond to the circumstance and keep its transparency with the community.
I'm going to clear my throat. I'm going to read a statement. The next item on our agenda is consideration of utilizing one company to provide waste disposal services to the Charter Township of Oxford. In preparation for this discussion and public hearing with our residents, at our public meeting on January 11th of this year, the Township Board authorized a request for a proposal for solid waste, recycling, and yard waste collection, transportation, and disposal services. While recently the Township received responses to the RFP, the acceptance of any bid contract was and has always been conditioned upon the Township Board considering and approving a new waste disposal ordinance, which tonight's public hearing was intended to discuss and obtain input from our residents. Unfortunately, I learned that a contractor of the township may have had contact with some, but not all, potential bidders during the RFP process. While there is no evidence confidential information was exchanged or other improprieties occurred, it has always been my practice that Oxford Township will not only adhere to the strict language of our procurement policy, but will also avoid even the appearance of impropriety or unfair treatment. For this reason, I'm exercising the township's right to reject any and all proposals under the RFP and thereby terminate the previously approved RFP. I am requesting this board refer the matter back to the Waste Disposal Ordinance Subcommittee with the direction to consider a request for proposal specifying that all township employees, contractors, and representative strictly adhere to the Oxford Township procurement policy in a manner consistent with fairness and transparency to all interested parties and avoid at all times.
Following the opening statement by Supervisor Curtis, the floor was open for 2 hours, allowing residents to voice their opinions concerning the waste disposal services in the township.
I'm not necessarily opposed to one contractor for the township for the pickup. I am concerned with the process and how, what companies are being chosen. I think 70 pages is a little ridiculous for an RFP. It's pretty involved.
And I use community trash haulers. I've been extremely pleased with them. I would be very upset if they didn't get a fair shake at this.
2 trash haulers that I'm aware of that goes up and down Coates Road, different days. I don't have a problem with that. As a matter of fact, I walk Coates Road every day with my dog, and I find the trash haulers to be very good about slowing down when they see somebody on the road, unlike most cars and trucks that go up and down Coates Road.
Consider a one-party or one hauler contractor doesn't give much consideration to the impact on the existing contractors. Some of them are small. I have a small hauler, and he's been reliable. He's never missed a day in 6 years. He's reasonable. He's responsive. He answers his own phone. So I'm happy with that.
Why you had a consultant do a survey when everything seems to be working fine? That really puzzles me. So I just have one piece of advice for you, okay? If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
The concerns that were brought up by residents will be addressed in steps before an ordinance is enacted. The Township Board would have 2 readings. The first reading could possibly be in May. The second reading, which could take place in consideration on issues that might have been overlooked, would be handled at the second meeting of the month or 2 later. At the conclusion of the meeting, Supervisor Curtis addressed the crowd, reiterating that the interest of the particular evening was focused on only one item, but that the board works on hundreds of items consistently for the public and they may not be aware of. Again, we'll wait to hear more on this story.
Thank you all for staying here. As you saw, the interest of the people is their one topic. This board works on hundreds of topics. We just don't dream them up. They're brought to us by citizens. If I told you how many times I've gone out with the road commission supervisor and handled problems, 9 o'clock at night I get a call. We got a washout on Delano Road. We got the guy out there and the resident, how did that happen? First you file a complaint with the road commission. And if that doesn't happen, you call me, I get with them, we go out there and we address it. We had some ladies here tonight that wanted a speed study done on a gravel road. Fortunately, my attendance at some of the road commission meetings, when I can't be on the Waste Hauler Committee or the Safety Path Committee or the DDA. I'm at the Road Commission, and we found some money. So it's this board works for you. Our phone numbers, our bios were all presented, but it's easy to make accusations and then run out of the room. Okay? We're here. We're not lying, cheating, and stealing. It's your money. Millions of dollars. Before we spend a dime of the county's money, the state money, or our local township money, all, well, 7, one's not here tonight, members of this board have reviewed the packet, which goes out on Friday. They have 3 days to ask any questions and get familiar with the packet, and we bring it in front of the board. Now, do we act fast? No, it's government. Ms. Keynes, I'm going to throw you under the bus. When did you ask for this speed study? Last year. By the time the state listens to us and we pound on them, this board has to approve a resolution. Now we have to send it to the state. We only do what's asked of us, and it's transparent. I got penny candy on my desk, not caviar in my car. Nobody up here intentionally misspends our money. We have auditors that come through here and prove every year that our funds are monitored closely. Treasurer Ferrari, myself, and Curtis worked today to save $30,000 in 2 years for the fire department. And they'll make money in interest-bearing accounts on their funds. We're not here to spend your money. We're here to spend your money wisely. And it's just not me. It's just not Rod. It's all of us knowing what the concern is, the expenditure, where it's coming from, how much we have. Thank you for staying.
The next meeting of the Oxford Township Board of Trustees is scheduled for May 10th. Again, that at the Township office. In a related story, safely and responsibly disposing of your household hazardous waste coming up on the 29th of April. That's a Saturday at Pine Knob Music Theater, 33 Bob Seeger Drive, Clarkston, Michigan. You know where that's at, from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Please feel free to register online by visiting nohaz.com. NoHaz collection events are free for residents of Oxford Township, Oxford Village, and that's right, there's no fee to dispose your household hazardous waste if you live in the Oxford area. These collection events are the household hazardous waste only. No commercial contractors are allowed. Business or institution waste will be accepted. For the detailed and accepted materials, visit their website. Once again, coming up real fast, nohaz.com. The Oxford High School Marching Band played in front of the Statue of Liberty with hundreds of people from around the world watching them do that. Way to go, Oxford High School Marching Band, for representing Oxford in the New York City day 3 for the Wildcat musicians in New York. Another unforgettable and incredible experience. The Oxford High School Jazz Band performed on the USS Intrepid. And very good for the Oxford Band, and a wonderful time they had in New York. We take a step back for our Behind the Lens segment. CJ Carnacchio's picture of that Easter celebration. We didn't get it in last week. Again, we'd like to title this one photo. It was all part of that Easter day. Everyone needs a hug. Yes, even the Easter Bunny. Once again, the Behind the Lens can also be featuring your photos. If you find a picture, snap. Feel free to send it to us. You can send it to us here, courtesy of the station. Maybe you'll see your snap at Behind the Lens. Up next, Dave Kenny with Auto Talk and Science in the News. You are watching Oxford News This Week from Oxford Community Television.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from Automotive News. The 2024 Buick Envista will fill a lot of roles when it goes on sale this summer. The small crossover will be the General Motors brand's final new gasoline-powered nameplate before it shifts to an all-electric lineup by 2030. The Envista will replace the Encore subcompact crossover, which debuted in 2012 as Buick's entry-level model. It will be the first Buick to draw total design inspiration from the brand's Wildcat electric vehicle concept revealed last year. And all of Envista's trims, including the top-end Avenir, will start at less than $30,000, including shipping, a strategy to attract younger buyers at a time when affordability concerns have pushed some consumers out of the market. The Envista's design, which marries sedan-like proportions with SUV-style utility, helps to further separate the entry-level vehicle from the newly updated Encore GX, marketing manager Jazzy Teen said. The Envista, for instance, will only be sold with front-wheel drive, while the Encore GX becomes Buick's entry-level all-wheel drive vehicle. The Encore, which ended production late last year, brought in younger and more diverse buyers to the Buick brand, she said. Buick wants to continue that with the Envista, including with former sedan owners who like the crossover's car-like proportions but don't want an SUV. The Envista will come with a 1.2-liter turbocharged engine and a 6-speed automatic transmission offering 136 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque, Buick said. Engineers said the engine is lighter and incorporates fewer parts with previous versions, that is, which contributes to a lighter vehicle weight and better efficiency and handling. Buick said the Envista's fuel economy is a GM estimated 30 miles per gallon combined, with 32 miles per gallon on the highway and 28 miles per gallon in the city. It's the first vehicle to be designed from the ground up with elements of Buick's Wildcat EV concept, highlighting the trapezoidal grille and checkmark-style headlights. The Envista also wears Buick's revamped Tri-Shield logo. The Envista is 11 inches longer than the Encore GX, with a wheelbase that is 4 inches longer and is nearly 3 inches lower than the GX, Buick said. It will be sold in 3 trims: the base preferred, the Sport Touring, or ST, that includes a sportier feel and gloss black finishes, and the Avenir, which offers chrome accents and additional features. On the inside, the Envista carries Buick's virtual cockpit system, with an 8-inch driver information screen next to an 11-inch infotainment screen behind one piece of glass, the same system that debuted in the refreshed Encore GX earlier this year. Vehicle designers were able to offer more interior legroom than any of Buick's past small crossovers, the brand said, in part because of its longer wheelbase. Buick's driver confidence safety features some standard on the Envista, including automatic emergency braking, lane keep assist, and lane departure warning. Available driver's assistance features include lane change alert with side blind zone alert and adaptive cruise control, Buick said. The vehicle has 20.7 cubic feet of storage space in the rear and 42 cubic feet when the rear seats are down. A power liftgate is standard on the Avenir and available on the other trims. Pricing starts at $23,495 for the Preferred, $25,195 for the ST, and $29,695 for the Avenir. All prices include shipping. Well, that's it for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television.
Back with you on Oxford News this week. Oxford sports, yes, it's underway, spring sports. Oxford varsity baseball team won their home conference game against Clarkston by a score of 2-0. They are 5-1 overall and 1-0 in the OAA White League. They sit on top of that league right now. Most games can be seen right here on OCTV. Jumping over to softball, ladies softball, Action saw Holly defeat them, the varsity softball team, Thursday against a non-conference game by the score of 9-6. The Wildcats now possess 0-1 record. They play again next when they travel to Athens and the OAA White. Oxford will confront the Red Hawks squad coming off of a loss there, 9-1 non-league loss against St. Mary's Prep of Orchard Lake. The Red Hawks record now stands at 0-2. And in ladies soccer, with a win, Oxford now improves 5-2-1 overall. The Wildcats are unbeaten, and their last 5 games tied for first place in the OAA White with a 3-1 league mark. Oxford will be back in action again coming up on Thursday when they'll host Berkeley, the Bears, who are 2-0-1 in league play and are also a contender for the division crown. Coming off of the Birmingham Seahome, Lake Orion 3-1-1 with a 1-1 OAA White, suffered their first loss of the season. Once again, Oxford doing pretty well in ladies soccer. This spring, the varsity boys golf team will be led by a new face, Tim Fox, 48-year-old Tim Fox, a graduate of Chippewa Valley High School and Central Michigan University, is the team new coach. Coach Tim Fox says the squad this year are with seniors Van Burens and James Nash, juniors Luke Denning and Thomas Trebovich, and sophomores Dominic Davasa and Brady Fox. Fox is not a teacher, rather than a sales director for WIT Incorporated, a small data analytics consulting firm based in Troy. Fox and his wife have 3 children. Again, his wife and him, they moved to Oxford in 2003, primarily because of the area, but also because all the great golfing and golf courses around the house. Again, he says he's very passionate about the game. I love playing it. I love watching it, I love teaching it, and talking about it. This week, the boys travel to the Great Lakes Country Club to square off with the Rochester High School. On Friday, they will play Farmington High at Farmington Hills Golf Club, and then Monday back home again to the Indianwood Golf and Country Club, congratulating our golf team and the new coach. Noah Grove is an Oxford High School graduate and a social studies teacher at the Oxford Middle School. This spring, he's also the new varsity boys lacrosse coach. He said while the high school lacrosse program has been around for a while, many years now, Oxford currently has the largest rosters in program history, both at the varsity and junior varsity levels. As of for up-and-coming players to watch and look out for, Robert Izek, junior Joseph Mucharo, I hope I didn't butcher your name, Joseph, will be breakouts on the offensive side of the field. He said Brendan McDivitt will be developed as a player that has put a lot of work, surely to make a tremendous impact on the long stick midfielder. When not teaching or coaching, Grove says he enjoys spending time with his family, doing various activities outdoors. More specifically so, I enjoy hiking, spending time out on the water, and being up north. This Friday, the Wildcats host the Howell High School on Saturday. They travel to Orchard Lake St. Mary High School. Both the games start at 7 o'clock. A lot of these contests can be seen right here on OCTV. That wraps it up in sports. Dave Kenny's got one more segment. I will close it out. A very special last story today. I urge you to stay tuned. You're watching Oxford News This Week.
Canine Stray Rescue is Oxford's own local dog rescue. Call them at 248-628-0435 or go to their website dogsaver.org and click on the Canine Stray Rescue League link.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and this story is taken from New Scientist. The spiny texture of sunflower pollen reduces infections of a common gut pathogen in bees by up to 94%. Wild plants and food crops rely heavily on bees for pollination. The loss of habitat and widespread pesticide use has pushed most bee species into decline and made them more susceptible to infections. But, like humans, bees can tailor their diet to boost their gut and immune health. Earlier studies have established that pollen from certain species of plants, especially sunflowers, can help bees resist some infections. But no one knew why sunflower pollen was so effective at suppressing the gut pathogen Crithidia bombi, or C. bombi, which can decrease the ability of eastern bumblebee queens to successfully establish a colony. It could be because of the really spiny shape. It could be the unique chemistry, or it could be both, says Laura Figueroa at the University of Massachusetts Amherst. To test what gave the pollen its anti-parasitic power, Figueroa and her colleagues first separated the pollen's outer shell from the chemical metabolites in its core. Then they fed the shell-only pollen to one group of bees and gave the metabolite centers to the others. A third group received whole pollen. They found that bees munching on the spiny shells of or whole pollen had between 81% and 94% less C. bombi in their gut than those eating only the chemically packed pollen centers. Bees that ate pollen exteriors had the same reduction in the harmful gut pathogen as those eating whole pollen. The chemistry isn't the main driver, it's the physical structure, says Figueroa. It was a really clear pattern. Because previous work has focused on sunflower pollen's chemistry, the study adds a new brick to the pollen and bee relationship by pointing out the physical effects, says Cedric Allot at the French National Institute for Agriculture, Food and Environment, who wasn't involved in the work. These disease-fighting abilities may be shared across multiple species in the sunflower family. The researchers compared the pollen performance of the related plants, including ragweed, dandelion, and dog fennel, and found they also suppress C. bombi infections in eastern bumblebees by around 77%. Researchers don't yet know how pollen spines are working to control C. bombi. Figueroa suspects the rough texture irritates the bee's gut lining, similar to chimpanzees eating bristly leaves to dispel gut parasites. Spikes might be physically scraping those cells off the bee's gut lining, or it could be physically hurting the parasites. We don't know, and that is our next step, says Figueroa. More work is needed to find out how sunflower pollen acts differently across the world's 20,000 different bee species. It may be possible to add sunflower pollen or something that mimics its shape to the diet of bees in commercial rearing facilities to suppress gut parasites. You go, bees. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny.
Welcome back to our last story as we commemorate the Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yom HaShoah, that took place on April 18th. Oxford Township is sharing a story of Ruth Baumgart Rohner, a Holocaust survivor who passed away on June of 2009 on the Oxford Facebook page. A detailed story. Ruth was the mother of Oxford Township resident, again, Lydia Rohner. Lydia is a treasure trove of family information, including articles, photographs, and an in-depth interview conducted with her mother back in October of 2006. Ruth was born November 7, 1921 in Breslau, Germany, to Eric and Lydia Baumgart. Lydia came from the Orthodox Jewish family, while Eric was Jewish but not religious. Eric was a successful wholesaler of toys and decorated German Army veteran who served on the front lines during World War I. Lydia was a talented singer and musician, piano and guitar her specialty. Some of the photos that are on the Oxford Township website, you need to take a look at that. The complete story, a complete outlook on Oxford Township's Facebook page. I urge you to take a look at that. Again, we were only capturing some of that with some of the photos. And with that, we thank the news gathering sources from the Oakland Press, the Oxford Leader, the Oxford Township Facebook page. Also photos again from C.J. Carnacchio, the Oxford Leader. OCTV can be viewed on Spectrum Charter Channel 191, Channel 99 on the ATTU Verse system, YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. You can even download the Roku app if you have a smart TV. Watch OCTV programming. OCTV is also available for local groups and also producing public service announcements. If you have a show idea, maybe you would like to be one of our volunteers, give our office a call, 248-628-9658. Once again, taking the special time to thank producer-director Kyle Snage, videographer Al Campbell, editor Mariska Haruska, program coordinator Dan Zweiss, program director Connie Miller, station manager Terry Stiles. For everyone here at OCTV, I'm Jim Hughes, hoping you have a safe week, and I invite you back next week. And again, we will take a look at Oxford News this week.